Hey, good afternoon. This is Jeremy again. I just wanted to say I'm going to hope to keep this a little bit shorter this time. So I picked Sybil Ludington. This is actually a person that I had read some about before in the past and had kind of an interest in. So when I saw the name, I kind of jumped at it. A few details about her. She was born April 5th, 1761. She later died February 26th, 1839, age 77. She was the daughter of a colonel in the militia, Henry Ludington, and she was born in Fredericksburg, New York. The legend or the story that she has is that on April 26, 1777, she made an all-night horseback ride around 40 miles to rally and warning neighbors that the British had burned the town of Danbury, Connecticut. Sybil was 16 when she rode the 40 miles, and she ultimately rallied, if you will, 400 militants or militia for the cause. So Paul Revere's ride occurred April 18th, 1775, which was actually 2 years earlier, as you can see, within a few days. The first account of the ride occurred in 1874 by Sybil's nephew, Charles Ludington, in his memoir. That's where the story kind of first presented itself. Martha Lamb included Sybil's story in her book about New York as a whole in 1880, and in 1907, accounts of her stories in another memoir regarding Sybil's father. The story was mentioned. She's been honored to be placed on the flag, on the stamp. She's been placed on a postal stamp on March 25th in 1975. And she was honored that way as a bicentennial postage stamp. And in 1934, the New York began to install historical markers along her supposed routes. There was even an opera written about her, and there's a 2010 movie that was produced regarding her story. So the issues really are that the historical record is often debated, as there is little historical reference to the story, which was ultimately just passed down from family. All the personal correspondences that they have from Sybil, she never once mentioned the ride in any of her letters that she had written. So there's really the debate whether or not this occurred. So moving into the questioning concept that was presented in the discussion, the first question I had was, how did Sybil Ludington become famous? So ultimately, she's a female hero, right? The ride, the story of the ride creates an example that's missing from most of the historical reference. The American Revolution was well captured regarding the male figure, and the need to recognize that the female figures were just as essential is why stories like this one continue through verbal history. The second question is, what made her different? My thought is that she was young. She was the daughter of a military figure and closely aligned with the traditional storytelling. She met the marks that could be continued to be told. She was associated with revolutionary figures, which gave her more credibility in her storyline, being that her father was part of the militia. Why has the story been accepted without much supporting facts? As mentioned, there's a need and desire to hear stories from everyone else, not just the male figures. Everyone else being those that we assume had a larger role, but had traditionally been left out of the history books. The story adds an excitement that not only were the males fighting for the war, but women and children were important figures in the fight against the oppression as well. Last question I wrote down was, how important was it for Sybil to be famous, being from the American Revolutionary time period? And as a continued thought is that we as a society need more female figures from the Revolutionary War period that help define our nation. Even the male-dominated society of the time, women were a major influencer and notably had a major impact in the outcome of the war. And really a final thought that I had was, regardless of the story is true or fiction, the idea represents something more, something important to a new generation of historians. The female hero from a time when assumingly only males could be heroes, Sybil Ludington's story of her 40-mile ride gives us an idea that everyone was important to the founding of America. Thank you.